You know, Georgia's a pretty special place. Who's not from Georgia? Dang. Dang. Where are you guys from? Virginia. Really? You know, they had a clinic up in D.C. in like a couple weeks. A little easier to travel.
I think Atlanta's a little different.
Atlanta's a little different than D.C. Plus, they got the Super Bowl here this week, right? The only thing that sucks about this is when Doug Belk right here, Valdosta native, okay, so Doug's my DB coach and co-defensive coordinator, was with me at Valdosta. He grew up in Valdosta, went to Carson Newman, right? Which I don't understand that for the life of me. We haven't talked about that. How's Valdosta State going to let you get out of the state? Okay, long story. But he was with me at West Virginia the last 2 years. This is the guy that, look, I've known Georgia football for a long, long time. It's where I got my start back 1994, 95, 96. No, that's 93, 94, 95. I was at Valdosta State and got to know the state pretty well. You know, it took me a few years at West Virginia to figure out how to recruit. You know, and 2 years ago, he came in and said, we got to go to Georgia. I'm like, well, I'm tired of Florida. Well, that's a shit show down there now. Okay, but I'm tired of that, so let's go to Georgia. And so what did we sign, like 7 kids out of here last year? So in the last couple of years, we signed like 10 or 12 guys out of the state of Georgia. It's an amazing place. You know, the high school football is second to maybe only Texas, which I have to say that now. Okay, so you know, but it's a really, really, really awesome place, and got a lot of great high schools, coaches, and players, and a lot of good stuff around here. But I originally was like, Doug, let's do the Nike clinic in Atlanta, and then we're just going to stay all week and recruit, because I already knew the Super Bowl was on Sunday, so I was going to be here all week to be able to partake in all the Super Bowl festivities and all that. So, but things change, and you know, so you know, took the job at Houston, and which is an awesome job. Everybody, let's just cut to the chase here. You know, everybody's looking at me like, why'd you do it? You know, it was an easy decision. I didn't think twice, honestly. But West Virginia is a special place, and very, very, very proud of what we did. The players that we coached, the degrees that they got, the games that we won, the friendships that I made. Those things are going to last forever, you know. And we're watch some film. I'm not going to sit up here and just BS you for an hour. We'll watch a little ball, you know, and it's going to be some stuff at West Virginia that I'm very proud of. But the potential at the University of Houston is unreal. You know, I was there 10 years ago, 2008, 2009. Coached a guy by the name of Case Keenum that's still playing in the NFL. A lot like the Hatcher kid. All right, I don't know if Edgar's still in here. He probably taking a nap somewhere, but the Hatcher kid at Valdosta State was a lot like that too. That was my first experience with a coach's kid, was Chris Hatcher. Just a 5'10", gritty, good, really, really, really good football player. That was Case Keenum. You know, that was Will Greer with 3 more inches. Okay, so coaches' kids are pretty special to me. Okay, so the number one thing that I look for in a quarterback is has he been around the football building his whole life. If he's been around the football building his whole life, then he's probably going to be a pretty good player. And we've had a lot of success with those guys. Graham Harrell's another one. Cliff Kingsbury is another one. Clint Trickett, who I had at West Virginia, is another one. Just coaches' kids are a little different, okay? And that started with Chris Hatcher at Valdosta State, and, you know, 20 years later it ended with Will Greer. So this was an easy decision to be able to come here. You know, I know this is the last talk of the clinic. It's been a really good 3-day clinic. I was kind of excited about a small room. You know, and then they put the microphone on me, and now I can't really get real. But because that camera's on me right there, too. So I try to keep it clean, and Mr. Curtis is in the back watching everything that I'm doing as well. So we'll talk some ball and all that. I would encourage everybody, if you got any kind of questions whatsoever, just talk up. You know, the more informal these things are, the better. But excited about being at University of Houston, really am. And, I'm going to let Doug come over here and recruit this great state as much as we can. Everybody knows Houston's got pretty good football. All right, so the high school football in Houston, the high school football in Texas is really good. And then Louisiana's a pretty good neighbor to us as well. So we'll get over into Louisiana a little bit and recruit, and then put Doug on a plane and come to Georgia and recruit the heck out of that state as well. So excited to be here. So we'll get started with this stuff and see where it leads. You never know. I'm still learning how to do this Exos stuff too. I haven't been Exos, so if I jump around and stuff, then I'm going to apologize at the beginning. Return of the mesh. Who runs mesh? Only a couple people run mesh, huh? All right, so, mesh, I ran mesh, okay? So when I was 5'10", 165-pound slow receiver at Iowa Wesleyan College, Hal Mumme was our head coach, and Mike Leach was the offensive coordinator. This was a long time ago, back 89, 90, 91. Was a long time ago, so I was the one that was running mesh. Those guys were so influential in what I wanted to do for a living. I grew up in cornfields of Iowa picking tassels and, bean fields, picking weeds, and had no idea what I wanted to do. And then these two crazy dudes, which there's maybe two of the craziest dudes in the world, Hal Mumme with his hair everywhere, way worse than mine, and Mike Leach, who's kind of, that'd be an hour conversation in itself. But those guys were at Iowa Wesleyan College back 89, 90, 91, 92, that sort of thing, before they went to Valdosta State. And I had no idea what I wanted to do ever in life. And then I looked at those guys, and I'm like, well, I'm kind of crazy, so I want to do what they do, And so I went to Valdosta State in 93 and started. The first thing that we would ever do was start teaching mesh. It's all about the mesh. Coached mesh, ran mesh more than any play that we had. It was the number one staple that we had. It was just 3rd and 3 or 1st and 10 or 2nd and 2 on the 2 is the play that we were going to go to. I got so sick of running mesh, I quit running it for about 10 years. So when I went to Houston in 2008, I'm like, I'm tired of coaching mesh. I'm not doing it anymore. So I quit doing it for about 7 years, 8 years. In the last couple of years, we ended up starting to run mesh again. So it's a great play, man. I'm telling you, whatever your personnel is, if it's 10 personnel, you can run mesh. If it's 20 personnel, you can run mesh. If it's 12 personnel, you can run mesh. If you're a tight end fullback team, 12 personnel, you can run the heck out of mesh. So it fits whatever personnel that you're going to be in. Man coverage, zone coverage, doesn't matter. Either one of them's good. Zone, you can sit in holes, and man, you can keep running. So it's good. It's pretty much good against everything. All right, so whoever my GA is here that put this thing together, this is actually the first time I've looked at it. So if any of this makes sense, then then look at it. But it's just, you can do it out of a bunch of different stuff. Okay. Now this was our deal last year. Okay, so we should have called it more. How many times you guys look at your breakdowns at the end of the year, and completion percentage is high, and the efficiency is high, and the yards per catch is high, and all that, and you say, geez, why didn't I run it more, right? So that's always the trick. There's a bunch of good plays out there, and there's a bunch of good things that you can run. It's pretty much more about, what are you comfortable calling, okay? The thing at the bottom there, the critical downs there, right there, 10 to 12. I mean, that's high efficiency stuff. Okay, and again, I just think it's something that it's pretty good based on being able to execute what you got. All right, so we have kind of changed how we coach it. Usually, like we would just call like mesh on both sides. Okay, it used to be 92, or with Hal right here, it would be 92. Okay, and if you just signaled 92, everybody knew what to do. Well, that's easy when it's like 20 personnel or whether it's 10 personnel. What makes that thing really difficult is when you start adding tight ends. Okay, and tight ends are hard to find. Has anybody got a tight end? Anybody got one I can recruit? Because those guys are hard to find. You know, and the one that we had 2 tight ends last year. They were both pretty good. One's at the Senior Bowl right now. He's playing today. 6'4", 270, and can run pretty good. So anytime you have those guys, you got to get into different personnel groupings, and that would be a 3 or 4 hour conversation trying to figure out how to call things based on that. I used to think these NFL guys are all, you know, just way too complicated and all that, but the reason is it gets a little harder when you start adding tight ends and you start adding fullbacks and all that. It becomes pretty wordy. That's why the NFL was ahead of the curve when they got that little microphone, you know, and they say the whole thing to the quarterback in his ear, which I think college football is probably 2 years away from being able to do that as well. But that makes it a lot harder, you know. I didn't call the offense for the last 2 years. You know, hired Jake Spavataw to come in. Did a great job for me. He's head coach at Texas State now. But really did a good job. You know, it allowed me to be able to do other things within the program, whether it's, you know, raise money or, you know, recruit a little bit better or get to know the defense or special teams. You know, that was all really, really, really good for me. So I didn't call it for 2 years. And within the last 2 years, we recruited 3 or 4 tight ends. So our offense has evolved. And I sat in those offensive meetings all the time and was, you know, checking off on things left and right. And then when Jake took the job December 1st, I'm like, yeah, I got this. I call it. It's no problem. I've called offenses for, you know, 15, 20 years. 2 things happen. Okay, one, I'm sitting there going, how do I line these guys up? Because it's not as easy as ace, early, or late, all right, which is a staple with the air raid for years and years and years. Now you gotta get into 11 personnel and 12 personnel and line these tight ends up and everything. So that was a challenge to me. And then I looked at that play sheet, which was like this big, and I go, oh no, I can't read it. So do I put those glasses on like you're wearing, or do I make a Denny's menu? I wasn't ready for the world to see me with the glasses, you know, so I got a big sheet, you know, but it was wordy, you know, so it took me like a minute to call a play, and I'm getting flags left and right and all that, so we're still working through all that, all right? But anyway, back to the point, you know, if it's like 10 personnel or 20 personnel, it's really easy. You call mesh, and everybody knows what to do. But when you start lining up these other guys involved with it, then it makes it a little bit tough. I spent years trying to figure out the mesh drill. You know, and we've done everything from slapping hands to rubbing shoulders, reading man and zone. I'm taking a lot of that stuff off of it. Okay, so basically it's mesh on one side and it's shallow on the other side. Okay, we ran shallows forever. Shallows make sense. You know, you get flat, you chase the heels of the D-line, come down the line of scrimmage, and you're hitting it and getting it. You know, so we kind of combined the two of them, which has really worked out pretty good. So mesh to the one side. Okay, right here on your screen, right there. I think it's to the left side. The left side is mesh. Okay, so if I signal mesh to the left side, that's the guy that's setting the depth. Okay, and his rule is to get about 5-6 yards and run. All right, and they figured out about halfway into the year that if they're the mesh guy, they're not getting the ball. Okay, they figured that out, which, you know, that's good for them. But they're just setting the depth and they're running and they're not stopping. Okay, the next guy outside of them has got the sit route. It's probably the biggest difference with what we used to do with mesh and what we're currently doing with it is the outside guy is going to sit, because so that's your zone answer. He's never going to get the ball in man, but that's 100% your zone answer. What I really liked about it is the back is the first read. everything that we did from 90 to 91 to 92, 93, 94, sail, 95 cross, 96 curls. This big staple in this offense right here, the back's always a check down. So defenses don't cover the back. They say just let the guy go out there and then we'll rally to it and tackle it for 4 yards and everything will be fine. This right here gets the ball to the back right now. First read, back's open, put it on them, okay? Second read is the opposite side. So the opposite side is shallow, okay? So if you signal mesh over here to this side and the shallow guy's coming from the other side, if it's inside shallow guy, this right here would be Y shallow. I could signal Z shallow, all right? So if you're not the shallow guy, then you're the hot route, all right? So you're the vertical guy. If there's any kind of trouble, if it's man coverage, then quarterback goes to the vertical route right now. If not, gets the ball, it's back to shallow, plays over unless it's zone, and they pass things off, and then you can hit the sit route after that. So whatever formation we get to, it works out in the same way. All right, let's see what we got. A little video here. Like I said, I'm still working through this remote here, so cut me a little slack right here. Here's the other thing, always five-man protection, okay? So anybody that wants to, who runs up tempo, I mean, like fastball? Who doesn't run fastball? One? Really? Never. So here's my thoughts on tempo. All right, tempo is, you know, if you're fast all the time, defenses love it. If you're slow all the time, defenses love it. If you vary it, defenses get pissed. So to me, it's about, you know, just doing different things. So I will go really, really, really slow, and our offense is comfortable with that. Sometimes if you're like up-tempo all the time and you got to get into like a 4-minute situation, the offense goes, oh, no. And they 3-and-out and punt, okay? So, you know, sometimes if you're slow all the time and you got to do 2-minute, they're like, oh, no. And they're not very good at it. You know what I mean? So to me, the best approach is to be able to do all that. So I'm either fast, like fastball stuff, and you can see this right here. This is a fastball play because it's 5-man protection. So you see the ref getting out of there right there? That to me is critical. That's snapping the ball when we need to snap the ball. Okay, so if I'm go, 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 we're going to snap that thing as fast as we possibly can. If I sub, we're always going to huddle. Okay, I may huddle with everybody. I may sugar huddle it, but we're always going to huddle. And then once we break that huddle, it's either going to be fastball or it's going to be normal. And that's all about the quarterback dictating the tempo and all that stuff. And then we may get on the ball and freeze them or fastball it, or he may get up there and act like he's doing it, and then he may run that clock down to 0. So the defense doesn't ever know exactly what the tempo is going to be. To me, that's 100% critical, and you got to be able to do everything. And if you don't, it's going to get you in the end. All right, so right here, mesh to the left. Mesh to the right. So back offsets. So right here, there's no blitz situation whatsoever. So he doesn't need to look to his hot. So it's all about the back is first. And then underneath shallow. And then the sit route after that. Probably would be better for him to get to the sit route on this, but he's not passing up the shallow based on there being a hole right there. Okay, now the shallow guy, we have changed the shallow guy. I'll get to you in a second. We have changed the shallow guy. The shallow guy used to be just run. Now we teach the shallow guy man zone. We don't teach the mesh anything. The mesh, set it and run. The shallow needs to sit if he's open. He needs to run if he's not. But really, if that guy's not getting the ball about the time he's outside the tackle box, he's really pretty much out of the route anyway. What you got? The shallow guy, okay, so right here, all right, he says no to the back. The blitz guy, which the blitz guy is the vertical route that's on the 46-yard line right there. Okay, so there's no blitz, so it's out of his mind. Immediately goes to the back. In the back, we tell it's not a swing route, it's a wheel route. So he runs a swing, but he turns it into a wheel, so he clears it out. And then you go to the shallow right underneath, and then to the sit. And at that point, play's over. And you got to scramble after that. He's just setting it. He knows it's a dummy route. He's got, we usually put the bigger person in that, but he's setting the depth at like 5 yards. He's just clearing everything out. Once he clears everything out, it's up to the other guy to be able to come underneath him. I'm not big, and again, I'm telling you, I sat dummies, and I did the mesh drill for hours upon hours, and sometimes they're clapping hands, sometimes they're rubbing shoulders. I think that's all kind of garbage, honestly. Just have one guy set it, and the other guy needs to work underneath him. So when he's coming underneath, he's coming and he sees the guy setting it. He's going to do different things to kind of set it up. It's his job to stay out of the way. It's that guy's job to clear it, and it's the underneath shallow guy's job to be able to set it up and try to get open. It's good settle and noose drill right here. Does anybody do settle and noose? Anybody know what that is? Yeah. I mean, I spent like 1,000,000 hours with that drill. I got away from that for a little while too. We put that back in probably 2 years ago. That's kind of our pre-practice, before run-through deal. It's pretty good. Just settle in between two dummies, and you catch it and you go that way. So it's not a wasted drill. All right, back in. The running backs cheat it a little bit. I try not to get too carried away with it, but probably of the 27 times that we called this, probably 20 of them were fastball. Okay, so if the back cheats it in fastball, they're not gonna see it. If you're slow and the defenders are studying it, then they're probably gonna see it. Decent job of getting upfield right here, though. So they're not allowed to settle until they get to the tackle, the opposite tackle. So I think he's in pretty good shape right here, and then catch and get straight upfield. Okay, so mesh is coming from the right. Okay, so mesh, once again I'm wrong. Mesh is coming from the left. Back is first, not blitz. Okay, so not worried about the Z on the 10 on the bottom of the screen. Not worried about that guy based on the fact that there's no blitz. Got a tight end in the game right here, so he's the mesh guy. Again, he's just trying to clear it. So, the DN dropping out, that's a problem when it comes to releasing the tight end. Does a good job of working through it. Sets it at 5. Shallow guy underneath him. So right here, back, say no to the back, hit the shallow. Here's another thing, and I don't think you need to overcomplicate this when it comes to, should this guy set up or should he not set up? Right there. I mean, that's a huge conversation piece. Should he settle or shouldn't he settle? So based on the fact that I'm really not teaching that guy to slap hands or rub shoulders or any of that stuff, he's just going to come underneath him, okay? So he's setting it right there. He sees the guy. He's going to work underneath him. eyes go back. He's already checked out the flat. Is it open? Is it not open? He goes back right here. He's like, in his mind, he's going, okay, there's grass, I'm going to settle. Or it's man coverage, I'm going to run. Well, when you peek back there, if that quarterback's kind of starting to cock a little bit, just keep doing what you're doing. Okay, if you get into that point right there and the quarterback's like moving around the pocket because he's got a dude in his face or whatever it is, then you can throw the brakes on. Just be very, very, just be very decisive when it comes to that. But that's huge. Should he settle? Shouldn't he settle? Well, I don't know you got to let those guys play a little bit too. But I think he's good. I love the fact that he's looking for the ball. And again, that was one of the bigger problems I had with this play. When they were trying to rub shoulders or slap hands, their eyes would not be on the quarterback. And your eyes got to be on the quarterback because that's a quick read. So that ball is coming quick. Okay, another fastball here. All right, so tight end. Again, he's in an off position right here, but we can still run it from there. That was one of our biggest run sets that we wanted for this game. Back to the right. This is a blitz situation right here. Initially, pre-snap, he would probably be going to the X. He'd probably be going to the X right here. This is a 4th and 3 play. Okay, so if this was a 1st and 10 play, he sees that defense with no deep safety, man coverage, he'd be hitting that X all day long. Okay, on the bottom of the screen. 4th and 3, what's the percentage that's completed? It ain't high. Okay, it's not high, so he needs a higher percentage throw. So he's saying no to that. And he's gonna just go through his progression. So back is 1. They got it covered. The mesh guy does a great job right here. If they want to bang, bang. I mean, you're not in the route, man. So if you need to take out 2 or 3 of them, take out 2 or 3 of them. And then it's all about the underneath guy. I think the shallow underneath guy could probably do a little bit better job of rubbing that. Obviously, the defender does a good job of understanding its mesh, man coverage, jumping it. Does a good job of bodying them, but that's a higher percentage pass than what it would be with the X. Really like what the tight end's doing right here. Just get through it. You're not in the progression, man, so don't worry about it. Yep. We've told him a lot of things. You see where that referee's sitting right there? He's at like 8 yards? Those guys used to sit at 5. And a couple of them got blasted. If they're in the way, just run their ass over. They don't like it very much, but they get out of the way. So the same thing goes for the defenders. If they're there, just take them all out because they're not that's the difference in how we coached it 15 years ago and how we're coaching it now, is just take people out because you're not in the progression. There's a 0% chance you get it unless that quarterback ends up scrambling to you. Okay, so just take whatever out, take it all out. The more you can take out, the better. Now, if that's the middle linebacker, or the umpire, or the defender that's covering the shallow, I don't care who it is. So I really haven't seen that called. Now, if that guy just leaves his feet and takes him out, probably going to get called. But if you're just running through it, I haven't seen it get called. Okay, zone coverage. It's going back. Back's first. That's a no. Boom, shallow guy. So now this is a good clip right here. You see how the dude's drifting? And he ain't happy about it. He about hit me with the ball right there. He ain't happy about it, but that's his own fault. Okay, so like right here, I like where his eyes are right now. He should see grass. He should see grass. He should be sitting right there. That's pretty much his fault right there. Don't be indecisive when it comes to that. He's drifting way too much. It's a little deeper than we used to coach it, okay? So, we used to coach it just fast and flat and just go no matter what. We don't do that anymore, okay? So a shallow route is you got more flexibility. If it's man, you can staircase it and snap it off. If it's zone, just go, okay? And then once you get to the outside of the tackle, then you can either sit it up or you can keep going. It's your decision. So we do teach it differently. It's a different play. Okay, right here, pretty much the same thing. Again, this is so this right here, it's a tight end set. This used to be ace, and then it turned into left, and now it's like left rip, because that's a tight end up top. But we wanted them kind of stood up and flexed out. Anytime it's 11 personnel, it gets tricky calling it. But that's a tight end, and obviously we wanted those bigger bodies into the boundaries, setting the mesh, so the fast skill kid can come underneath them. So right here, we don't need a hot. So back is first. Underneath mesh, shallow route is second. Sit route is third. And a lot of times these sit routes are open. I don't necessarily like them in man coverage. You shouldn't really get off. If they pass it off and they cover the back, then you're probably not going to, hit that back if you can, and then it's the underneath shallow guy. Had a good group of offensive players, really did. That left tackle right there is probably a second-round pick. He's a Senior Bowl guy. Quarterback's obviously in the Senior Bowl. The tight end is in the Senior Bowl. The number 12 right here is in the Senior Bowl. That's catching it. And then 13, the wideout Sills is there as well. So had a pretty good group. Okay, different set, squeezed them. Got a lot of this stuff from the Rams. If you study the Rams, a lot of that stuff they do in squeeze alignments that condense everything down. It gives defenses problems, So we'll either squeeze it or tight it. So the tight formations are all guys that are really squeezed down. But there's really a reason to be able to just take your normal splits and bring them together, not stack. Okay, stack's a whole nother animal, a whole nother conversation. But squeezing them to where they're about 3 yards apart for man coverage purposes, that's really, really, really good. The tight alignments right here I think is really good in the run game. It's really good for RPOs, and it's really good for these mesh routes. It's right there again, mesh to the right. There's no issues, so you don't need to go to 13 on a vertical route. So it's all about the back, number 1. And that's not the easiest throw in the world. You got to rep that right there. So you really want those backs to stretch it. Try to stretch it to the numbers, but work upfield as well. So like right here, if you look at this tight end, the off tight end right here, if he would attack the guy that's covering the 86, the other tight end, 88, probably would get called. So I kind of like what he's doing right there, just as far as kind of just giving him a little shimmy right there and then not making contact. You can get creative with this stuff. This game here, the tight end trips stuff really gave these guys problems. So we're in this set a lot. But I'd also motion this guy over Tell you another thing. How much motion? Who does motion? Like quick stuff. Has anybody ever like quicked it and freeze them? That works like 90% of the time. Okay, now you can't do it a lot, but if you need a play like on, a critical play, if you're motioning guys and you're quicking them and you bring them right there and then you time all that stuff up, if you freeze them in that situation right there, you probably get a first down. Then you can throw it deep and score. So right here, it kind of changes it takes a hot out of it. It takes the hot out of it, okay? But if you bring this guy in motion right here, from a quarterback's perspective, he just got to understand your hot's out, okay? So that's get it out of your mind. Okay, your hot is the quick, okay? So that's gone. So just read out mesh. It's back, it's underneath shallow, and it's sit based on what you got going on. But right there, you talk about passing this off for the defenders. Trying to get the defenses that can cover the back are really good defenses now. I mean, if they're a man coverage team and you're going to always account for that guy, you got to get a little bit creative with it. So quads is tough. The other thing's really tough is pistol. You put that dude in pistol, the defenses lose that guy all the time, especially if there's two backers right there. They don't know who's got him and stuff like that. So you can get creative when it comes to covering that back. So right there, backs one, looks pretty good. Put it on him. I have a hard time watching these Oklahoma schools, honestly. They both got us at the end of the year. We had a pretty good year. We were in the conversation all year long. They both got us. They both got us by 3. It's tough. Okay, here's Syracuse. This is the bowl game. Here's 1 out of C. So again, it's like Syracuse, like watching them, their big man coverage team, they were extremely disciplined with what they did. They never allowed the back to get the ball. So we had to get somewhat creative when it came to doing this. 12 personnel, 2 tight ends to the right, to the left side. So that's the mesh side. So back's going to release to the quarterback's right. There's really no blitz situations here. So the shallow is coming from the quarterback's left. But because that guy's in C, it's a problem for him. Now this is zone, okay? So, but don't pass up the back. Don't pass up the back. All right. So right there, if the corner would have passed it off quicker and went down, and he'd come shallow, and he'd probably say he may put that on him, but that sits really good in zone. If you're getting a lot of zone, that sits a really good option. I tell you, these guys, if you look at, a lot of times the back turns into a lead blocker if you throw it to the shallow, and the shallow turns into a lead blocker if you throw it to the back. Same set. At zone, corner does a really bad job here. So if the corner reads this, if he reads it out, that's really good by the tight end that's on the line of scrimmage. Good release, clear it out. So if the corner falls off on that back, you're going to be able to dump it underneath. That'll score 2. So this is fastball, okay? So it's my favorite way to do it because when it's fastball, then they're not gonna cover the back most of the time. and it gets the quarterback's eyes on the back right now. Okay, good hot look right here. Safeties are down. All right, blitz. This is, I can't take credit for what the quarterback's doing right here. This is just like pretty special and instinctive and all that. It's a bad snap. Ends up getting it, but he knows where his go-to is. If he's waiting on, he can't look at the back. You know, good thing if he just goes through his progression right here, he's going to get caught with the ball. Okay, and I don't like what the inside receiver at the top left hash is doing. He's staircasing that way too much. He ain't got time for that. He should understand blitz as well. Blitz, look, man, we're going to probably get to you real quick. So I don't like what the inside receiver is doing up top, but quarterback obviously makes a good play, just gives the guy a chance. I don't like the read right here. This is 2nd and 10. I don't like the read at all. That's not a threatening defense. Okay, so you know this is one of those things that you really just can't coach. I mean, if those guys got Will and number 13 Sills, those guys had a deal to where they would just kind of look at each other and wink, and they'd know exactly what they're doing and stuff. I can't coach that. That's just them. Like just being best friends and hanging out for like 3 straight years and all that stuff right there. But I don't like this read. Okay, he should probably be off that hot right now. Look at the back. Don't got the back. What are you gonna have? Got that shallow. That shallow should be thrown right now. It should be thrown right now, and that guy's gonna turn the corner. Okay, so, but threw it, caught it, everybody's happy. And then there's the back shoulder conversation. Anybody know how to coach the back shoulder? I don't. Again, that's just backyard playing ball. All that stuff, All right, here's a good little mix-up. Okay, so quads. Okay, again, you saw this with the motion a minute ago. So the motion takes care of the hot. All right, so you're not going to have something when it comes to this right here. We actually, like this one right here, we didn't have the shallow, which is a problem. Okay, but it's a deal that we quads them into the boundary. You're going to watch Coach Patterson, who I think is an awesome defensive football coach, a great guy, hikes his pants up every play. It's hilarious. But we just quads them into the boundary. It was going to cause him problems. Okay, so this was just kind of one of the special plays right here where you have the hot to the left. Okay, so if they blitz it, boom, you got an out. And then it's about reading the wheel route to the back. Okay, so it's all about the wheel to the back. They forgot to cover the wheel. Tight end is a talented kid now. 6'5", 270, can run and catch. Look at my man right there on the right of the screen. He's like, what are you doing? Why ain't you covering that guy? He's a beauty. Oh, yeah, then we got into the return routes. Okay, so that's really good in man coverage. If you're coming in, and they just start playing over the top of everything, then you can return them back out. So the mesh becomes the shallow, and the shallow becomes the mesh. Okay, so, really we're going to just, the progression with the quarterback's the same. He's back first. His hot's at the bottom of the screen. Don't need a hot. Don't need a hot. So the back is first. Okay, don't like the back. And then he's coming to the shallow, which was the mesh guy, but now it's the shallow guy. All right, any questions on mesh? All right. No questions on mesh. That's pretty easy, right? I mean, that's just, we don't get into too many different varieties when it comes to that. I mean, we kind of try to keep it simple. That sit route, I think, has been pretty good. It's a big NFL deal. I mean, the Eagles really do it a lot. The Rams do it a lot. And it's been good. So we're going to keep building off of that. All right, vertical routes. This is kind of a new deal that we came across here in the last couple of years. You have 25 yards of completion. You should probably call this thing a little bit more too, right? So the way that kind of works. Okay, so basically it's it's a way to attack vertical routes with your best players. Okay, so it used to be the old 6 route, then it was the old go route, then it was the comebacks and sits, and had a bunch of different ways of calling this. So really, if you're in 10 personnel or 20 personnel or 11 personnel, one of them's the go. It's the double move guy. That gives them all kinds of freedom to do whatever they want to be able to get open. You can double move it unless you're in stack. If you're in stack, then you can't double move it. The rest of the guys just got spacing stuff. It's a really good play action deal. I like it in 10 personnel too. It's a great 2-minute. If you're in a 2-minute situation, great in 2-minute. It's kind of like the back shoulder deal, where it's just like, look, you two guys just figure out where the space is and put it on them, okay? And if you don't have that guy, then you go to the other guys and check secondary check down stuff. So pre-snap right here, if you're the inside receiver at the top, pre-snap, I'm like, I really don't know what I'm doing yet, okay? Whether it's going to be like an outside release or whether it's going to be a inside release. It's all about, and what I really like about this more than anything is all the pre-snap disguise that you're getting with the defenses, with the safeties, with what they're doing. They show you one thing and then they roll to another thing. This allows you to be able to get that guy, as opposed to saying, look, you got to be 2 yards outside of the numbers no matter what. It gives them the flexibility to be able to attack the grass down the field. So right here, if I'm that inside receiver up top, I'm probably going to attack that guy's inside hip, stick my toe on the ground, and run a fade. Okay? Well, and then based on the fact that, they drop off and roll, and the free safety's deep, now it allows them to kind of flatten it out. Again, this is like our number 1 2-minute play. I think there's like 10 seconds on the clock right here. $29 seconds right here. So we end up completing this thing, and I think there is about 7 seconds on the clock. So it's halftime right here. Okay, halftime. I think we clocked the next play. Okay, so 7 seconds, 2nd and 3 on the 3. What would y'all do? Halftime. It's halftime, so, I mean, there is 6 seconds. There's 0 timeouts. 6 seconds, so we clocked it, so the clock stopped. 6 seconds. And I raised hell because there should have been 8 seconds. So they gave me 1 more second. So there's 7 seconds. That's a big difference. So 7 seconds, 2nd and 3, right before halftime. We're at 14-0. Who's kicking a field goal? Who? Defensive guy. Who's kicking a field goal? Yeah. Yeah, y'all soft. Come on. 1 shot. 1 shot. It's 14-0. One read route. And so, like, we practice this every Friday, okay? So, like Friday is always or Thursday, it's always the special teams day, right? To where who like, here's another thing, like field goals. Who puts their field goal team out there and just kicks like 4 consecutive field goals? Raise your hand. We've all done it. We've all done it, right? You get the field goal team out there and you just kick 4 consecutive. How is that realistic in football? So we run 4 plays and we send the field goal team out there, right? So one of the things that we do is one of these situations every Friday, okay, before a Saturday game, and I'll mix it up. It'll be like 1st and 20 or 1st and 10 on the 20-yard line, and there's 15 seconds with no timeouts. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to try to score, but if the guy gets tackled for a 9-yard gain, you got a little bit of a problem, okay? So we just put them in these situations all the time. What we found out is you can catch and throw with 6 seconds, but you can't catch and throw with 5 seconds. So, I mean, there's a difference. And so when there was 6, I'm like, ooh, I'm nervous because I'm like, yeah, we got to get 3 points here. But they put 1 more second, I'm like, we're good. Catch it, throw it. And so so the very next play was a fade route to the outside, and we scored a touchdown. We're up 21-0. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. We didn't waste points. Kick a field goal. I don't know. Well, look, I mean, it's one of those deals where if it works, you're really, really, really smart. If it doesn't, you get fired. Okay, here's a check down. Okay, so inside receiver, storm. Okay, so inside receiver on the bottom of the screen. You know, he can work it right there, but completely understand. See, he even gives up on the route, which is smart. But if he's got a little cleaner release, he'll probably split those defenders. The old shakes route. Don't got it, so check it down. Same guy. Inside receiver on the bottom of the screen. Don't got it. You know, if he gets a cleaner release, he may be able to split those safeties. If they roll cover 1, you know, if they're rolling to the right there, he'll probably stick his toe on the ground and run a fade route. So it gives them the flexibility to be able to change what they're doing post snap, because you know usually defenses aren't going to just say, "Here, this is what we're playing," and they're going to disguise things and do different things. So don't have it, so check it down. You got options to check it down. Okay, inside receiver, bottom of the screen. Pre-snap, I'm like, you know, they may be 2. They may stay quarters. You know, his route right now can be one of probably 2 different things. All right, or 3 different things. He could flatten it, he could split safeties, or he could run vertical. Okay. So right there, I really like what he's doing. So safety's down, so just run by him. Run the grass. Really a good throw. That's not an average throw there. I mean, that's an NFL throw there. And look where his eyes are. I mean, his first read, number one read, is that inside receiver to his right. So he is trying to pull as much coverage of that side as he possibly can. Look for grass, throw it out there, give him a chance. Okay, so same play, inside receiver to his right. Like pre-snap, I'm like, there's some grass in the middle. So I'm checking out that grass in the middle. I think that receiver should break that right there. If he breaks that thing off to the middle and flattens, I think he gets the ball. Doesn't trigger it, so check it down. Wherever your eyes take you, check it down. You got 3 options on top of that. If it's 11 personnel, you got 2 options. Okay, so seeing as how this isn't a highlight tape, this is a drop right here. But right here, inside receiver to the bottom, he's got time to set that up. With that kind of coverage right there, that's up to the quarterback whether he stays on it that long. That's all about what's happening up front and how comfortable you are with pass protection and all that good stuff. But right there, he really does a great job of setting that up to the outside and splitting safeties. And this is a dime right here now. That's pretty good. Yeah, but for years I'm like, I'm like, okay, so 4 verticals, you got guys on the hashes, you got guys on the numbers. And then I got to check it into a different play if I want one of those inside receivers to split it. So this just gives you the ability to be able to let whoever the deep guy is be able to go to the grass. Okay, and then you got check downs after that. So it's the old 6 route. Go score 6 points. That's how it originated way back when. But it gives you the flexibility of one of those guys to be able to get to where the grass is. This made me a pretty good coach right here. All right, here's the situation. We're down 6. Is that right? We're down 7. We should be down 7. 38 seconds, okay? And I almost fired the receiver coach at this point. I think I did fire the receiver coach. I did fire the receiver coach, but then I hired him I rehired him after the game, and I hired him at Houston too. 2 minute. The number one rule in 2 minute is don't sub. I mean, it's hello, right? I mean, we all know that. Well, we subbed. And this is like Todd Orlando is really a good coach. So we subbed, and what'd they do? They subbed. They subbed the fattest guy on their team. So fat guy 1 runs out there. Fat guy 2 is just like jogging off the field. And the quarterback's going like, what is going on? Because the clock is ticking. We're at like 38, 37, 36. I mean, it's kind of ticking right here. So anyway, we got, one of these sets that we're in. We're running the ball a good bit. I love running the ball in 2 minutes too, by the way. But, right here, if we call just like, go routes or comebacks or whatever it is, or Y cross or whatever all that good stuff is, you ain't got a shot. Okay, so right here we gave Y, the inside receiver to the right. He's the shot guy. And pre-snap, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Pre-snap, I'm like, I don't know. So that safety is late, and why I don't have an answer, because they just had like 38 seconds to be able to figure out what we're doing. But that safety's late to rotate. So there's grass. So inside receiver just runs the grass. Now here's the best part about it. Is the quarterback, and he may be the most intelligent quarterback I've ever been around, okay? But that internal clock is like, it's ticking, and so he gets to a point right here where he's like, if I set my feet and throw, he's out of bounds. So he released that thing. His body is all kinds of torqued and discombobulated and everything, but he had to let go of that thing or he's out of room. That's the greatest throw I've ever seen. The greatest throw I've ever seen. So we won. Okay, play action. So, 10 personnel, to me there's no point in play action in that in 10 personnel. Just run, just find space. Send them deep and find space underneath. I really like this out of 11 personnel with play action. Okay, so, whatever your run plays are and stuff, I don't like power pass with this, but the split zone stuff, just gap scheme, back and fullback backside, that's the best protection you can come up with. Close, just missed it. But right here, inside receiver up top, just run into grass. Right here, in his mind, pre-snap, I don't think he knows if it's going to be a fade or if it's going to be a post. I don't think he knows, okay? But after the route's in play, now set him up and go. Eleven personnel again. Check down. So again, inside receiver up top. I don't know if he's right here. He's trying to get outside release. He's trying to outside release that guy and probably post it at that point. He gets shoved, so the quarterback checks it down. All right, so here's one with the outside receiver single. So again, it's 11 personnel. That's pretty safe protection right there. It's just attacking a matchup with the single, okay? And then once again, if you don't have that, then you got two check downs to your right. See if he eye drills this guy. Yeah, that's big time right there. So when we do play action, I'd like him to ride that just a little bit more. I'd like him to ride it, but the best thing he does right here is eyes right, eyes right, eyes right, eyes right, and then he knows all along he's going to attack that matchup. Kid had the hot hand. The ex-receiver had the hot hand. He knew all along he was going to attack that. Outside shoulder. Any questions on that? I want to get to any questions on that. I want to get to one RPO real quick for those of you who like tight ends. All right, Steeler. This is a Big Ben thing. Big Ben's pretty good. That was Huh? He's a good player. Yeah. What? Yeah. Good for him. But Big Ben's pretty good. All right, so I was, West Virginia and Pittsburgh are an hour away, so I'd go up to Pittsburgh and watch him practice a lot. Tomlin's a good dude. He's a good dude. Big Ben's special. Yeah, Tomlin's a good dude. What do you guys, Ravens, right? Huh? What? Pittsburgh? Okay. So we got this from them. Okay, good talk. It's really good off emotion, but we do so much split zone, inside zone, split zone, where the tight end's on the backside. We'll do some things from the backside, slip them in the flat and stuff, but if you keep them play side and you run split zone, he's on the play side right there, then they wrong arm that a lot. Okay, so we'll teach those guys to just step like it's zone and then stay vertical. I got to bring this up right here. Okay, this right here. I got to be careful what I say, but I'm not in the Big 12 anymore, so I don't care. But the refs got us on this one. So I don't know if I've ever seen this. All right, so the receiver at the bottom of the screen. Okay, he's blocking the guy. Is it not the defender's responsibility to get off the block? Is it not? I mean, who has a defender that just like gets blocked and runs backwards? So this cat, he ran backwards. Watch this. This is the difference in us being in the Big 12 championship and not. Right there. So the receiver is blocking the guy clearly, right, which is a legal block. Well, it's kind of that guy's responsibility to get off it. He doesn't get off it. He runs from the block. He runs into the bench. So the little, I don't have anything against short people, but the little short ref right there threw that flag, took 7 points off the board, and at this point in time, it's 49-52. So it'd be 56-52. Now, I know Kyler Murray's probably going to go down and score again. He's pretty good. But here's what happened. So they backed us way up, minus 30. The very next play, it was a sack, fumble, touchdown. It's a 14-point swing. I've never seen anything like it. And I've only been in this situation twice in my life. I could say whatever I wanted to say to that guy, and he wasn't going to flag me. I said some bad stuff. Let me get to just a couple. This is a good deal, though, for those of you who like tight ends and stuff. So it's a post-snap read with the quarterback. So he makes a good decision there. Same game. It's a post-snap read. Okay, so it's zone read with the throw. It's zone read with the throw. We were kind of getting them in the run game a little bit, so they ended up filling. And then, boom, we put it on them. Big dude's hard to tackle, too. Post-snap, good. Don't know, don't care. They should be blocking. It doesn't matter. They're out of the read. They're out of the read. So, all right, so we arced it down there, but he would never get to it. I tell you, no, that's not true. That's not true. It would be a no shit moment. Okay, so if he pulled it and then said, "Oops, wrong decision," then he would probably just throw it out there. Really, he'd probably throw it over their head. Because I don't want him getting caught with the ball, and I don't want him running the ball. Not that guy. Now, the guy I got at Houston, who's 5'10", 175 pounds, and runs a 4.4, may let him run it a little bit. So that's a good little deal. Okay, so any questions? Everybody good? All right. Look, I love coming to Georgia now. I really do. I love coming to Georgia. It's great high school football. Virginia's pretty good too. Virginia's pretty good too. And appreciate you all sticking around. I know it's been a long 3 days, but I appreciate everybody sticking around. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.